Star Wars 7x7 episode 2374. We've got two more 2021 previews coming up, and this time we are focused on books and audiobooks. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So 2020 saw a lot of notable book releases, including the first in a new Thrawn trilogy. That would be Star Wars: Thrawn Ascendancy: Chaos Rising. I think I caught all the colons in there. Also Shadowfall, the middle novel in Alexander Freed's Alphabet Squadron trilogy. A second in the Queen trilogy. If it is actually a trilogy, I don't know for sure. The Queen's Peril novel by E.K. Johnston. It would be nice if they come out with a third one. I think that would be very cool. Also, the Rise of Skywalker novelization by Ray Carson. And of course, the Myths and Fables version for the Dark Side, Dark Legends by George Mann. The From a Certain Point of View compilation for The Empire Strikes Back, and a lot of great reference books as well, including Rise of Skywalker stuff, The Art of the Mandalorian that we haven't yet chatted about, but we will, the Ultimate Lightsaber Collection, the Star Wars book, so much more. It was a great year for books in 2020, and it's going to be a great year in 2021 as well. On yesterday's episode, we talked about what's coming in the month of January, and of course, the highlight of that is the High Republic. So we've already talked about the two books that are coming out. Actually, it's three, technically, if you include the Young Readers book. And just to quickly recap, that's Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, the adult novel, and A Test of Courage, which is the middle grade reader by Justina Ireland. And then there's also the High Republic: The Great Jedi Rescue by Kevin Scott, which is the Young Readers book. So in February, we get the third of the three major books that we were told about so many months ago, and that is Into the Dark, which is the young adult novel by Claudia Gray. Then March has a lot of notable releases in its own right, including Victory's Price, which is the final book in the Alphabet Squadron trilogy by Alexander Freed. And interestingly enough, the audiobook version is being done by yet another person. So Saskia Marleveld, hopefully I got your pronunciation right, Saskia, did the first book, and then Carol Monda did the second book, and January Lavoie is coming in to do the final audiobook narration for the Alphabet Squadron trilogy. And then Inside Editions, which does some beautiful reference books, is coming out with the Tiny Book of Jedi and the Tiny Book of Sith, and that's by S.T. Bend. Those are coming out in early March 9th at this date. And also something very cool that I'm so glad to see happening finally. And, it's not something that I had seen necessarily lobbied for, but when I saw it on the release thing, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. It's Star Wars Insider, the Fiction Collection, Volume 1. So all of the short stories that they had previously published in Star Wars Insider, and the only way you could check them out was to, hopefully read a summary on Wikipedia, or, we've talked about them on the show, actually. You have to subscribe to Insider Magazine to get it. They're going to put them in one collection, which is fantastic. And especially more so now that they are starting to publish short fiction again in Insider. So if they're doing one and it does well, then hey, they may keep doing it, which is really cool. And then in April, similar to what they did with Dooku Jedi Lost, they're creating a book version of the Dr. Aphra audio drama, so that's awesome. Also, Kristen Baver, who writes for StarWars.com and is hosting the new weekly Star Wars video show, she has a book coming out, and it is called Skywalkers: A Family at War. I think this is her first book maybe as well. I think I've got that right. And, regardless, congratulations, Kristen. Congratulations more so if this one is your first one. And there are books that are categorized as art books and reference books, and they're kind of both in a way. And so when we talk about The Art of Galaxy's Edge by Amy Ratcliffe coming out in April, that's considered an art book, but it is a reference book in my mind as well. Whereas the Star Wars book of Monsters, Ooze, and Slime by Katie Cook is listed as a reference book, but it could well be an art book because of her incredible design and illustration background. And Jason Fry, who is a longtime Star Wars author, will also have a book coming out in April. It is a Clone Wars character encyclopedia, so that's very cool too. Jumping into May, May the 4th is going to be celebrated with the second novel in the Thrawn trilogy. This one will be Thrawn Ascendancy: Greater Good. And there are also going to be a couple of Mandalorian and Clone Wars Young Readers things coming out. Jumping ahead to July, there are no June announcements right now. There's going to be Mandalorian Ultimate Visual Guide by Pablo Hidalgo, so that's something that was actually announced during the Mando Mondays, but isn't coming for a while yet. July, like I said. There's also going to be in July the second round of novels about the High Republic, including The Rising Storm, coming from Cavan Scott. That's an adult novel. And Daniel Jose Older is writing a junior novel that currently does not have an announced title, so we'll have to wait to hear about that. And then in August, we're getting a young adult novel by Justina Ireland for the High Republic, also with an as-yet unannounced title. Jumping ahead to November, that is when the previously announced Mandalorian original novel by Adam Christopher is going to debut, November 2nd. That one was supposed to be coming out at the end of 2020, but it was pushed ahead, and we don't know what that's about, but as I recall, it's supposed to be an original story. It's not retelling the events of stuff that's already happened in The Mandalorian. And in fact, we're actually getting that, as we talked about on yesterday's episode, via the Joe Schreiber Jr. novel of Mandalorian Season 1 that's actually coming out in January. Now, that's not necessarily everything on the book front that's coming in 2021. There are still things that have yet to be announced. Obviously, as you get further into the year, there are more blank spots on the calendar, comparatively speaking, but there will be things that are announced as we continue on in the year, and of course, we will talk about them here on the show. And before I wrap things up here today, I just want to give a quick shout out to Muriel Forer. Muriel, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Muriel is the latest person to become a patron of Star Wars 7x7 to help support me in bringing this daily dose of Star Wars joy to you. Muriel, thank you so much for the support, for the vote of confidence. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to every single patron who is supporting me in delivering this daily dose of Star Wars joy. I'm so grateful to you. And if you are listening and not yet a patron and would like to consider helping me to continue to bring this daily dose of Star Wars joy to the world in 2021 and beyond, then I hope you will check out patreon.com/SW7X7. Again, that's patreon.com/SW7X7. And that's going to do it for today's show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.